welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic Hammerlong is in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and I'm already getting Hammerlong. But we got Jimmy here as well, who does not sound like he's quite as Hammerlonged out.
No,
So,
and I've been here longer.
You have been here longer.
By like a few hours.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I had a late night out at Chocolate Thunder, and we were heckling quite a bit, so that probably does not help.
I was around Ultra 3 for a long time, and it was loud, and the music was blaring, and I was yelling quite a bit, talking to Eric.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Eric Hanna.
Did you get caught in the Gel Blaster war?
The Orbeez?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No.
Oh, man.
Sort of. I got shot a few times, but it wasn't. I think there
was a huge Orbeez Gel Blaster fight that broke out right behind me.
Oh.
And so I just kind of like tucked my head in and huddled there and just got annihilated through the crossfire.
There was almost a fight that broke out because of those.
Oh, really?
I guess somebody got hit in the eye
from
a flying Orby.
Uh-huh.
And they found out who was shooting the Orbeez, and I happened to be right near those guys.
Uh-huh.
No affiliation to them whatsoever. I don't even know who they were. But it was a lady that got hit in the eye, and she came running out of the middle of nowhere and just body checked this guy, and he fell ass over key kettle over the Evolved Racing tires and fell on the ground, and she just is like just screaming and yelling at this guy. And I think he was more shocked that he got knocked down.
Yeah.
And then he's like, sorry, it's all in the fun of it. Like, sorry,
all fun and games until someone gets hit in the fucking eye.
Yeah. And then she's just like, some guy was there trying to hold her off. And then she just ran up and grabbed the Orby gun, fell on the ground at that point. And she grabbed the Orby gun and ran.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Wow.
So we're at King of the Hammers.
We are indeed. We made it.
I don't know if you can hear the rigs running by right beside us.
Yeah, I thought camping up here kind of at the top of the hill was going to be like a really great premium spot. I'm further up out of the dust. Just kind of, I don't want to say I'm not in the middle of all the people, but we're still around people.
Sure.
But I'm literally right next to the road.
Yeah.
And that road gets used all night long, apparently.
Yes, it does. And I'm happy you're here and I'm on the other side of your Lance camper.
I get to make a nice noise block for you.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, we're going to talk about our trips down. We have a ton of listener feedback we're going to go over.
Yep.
And I brought 2 Cheez-Its.
Ooh,
for us to do a little side-by-side so I can prove you wrong.
It's not even a side-by-side. Like, there's no way you're going to win.
Yep, I brought some white cheddar and the extra toasted.
So are we doing side-by-sides with other people here? Because it's not going to do anything between you and me.
I already did it with some other people.
Okay.
And I can say those, what the outcomes of those were if you're interested. Also brought some twisted
you know what we
teas.
should do? We should put a couple of bowls out and like the condiment table or like on one of the tables during dinner.
I'm down for that.
And we'll see which one empties first.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down for that.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to settle this once and for all, damn it.
I was going to buy every single one at the store and bring them all so we could sample them all.
Wheeling Wine and Whiskey's doing whiskey samplings, blind tastings, and we're doing Cheez-It blind tastings.
Which Cheez-It do you like the best?
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, that's funny. But before we get to those, we need to do a few shout outs. Let's see. This episode is coming out after January. So you did allude to the fact that you had something lined up for February, but then we never really talked about it after the fact.
That's true. We never did. There was something I was working on and I forget what it is now. Oh, I remember what it was.
Okay, I'm ready.
Do you want to talk about it or are you good?
Are you sure
we're going to
go
for it?
Are we going to be able to give it away?
Yes.
Okay, then let's bring it up. What's next month's giveaway?
A set of Coyote inner beadlocks.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to be it's $1,200 value, retail value for 4
nice
Coyote inner beadlocks, 17-inch rims.
Okay.
So
is there I know that there's width requirements on some of the rims too, right?
It's for the up to 10-inch. So it can do anything up to 10-inch rims. So 17 by 10 is the max size.
Okay. That's what somebody's getting internal beadlocks from Coyote Beadlock.
Yep.
17-inch rims up to a 10-inch wide rim.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have inner beadlocks on my rig, and I know a few of our friends run them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And but I went with the cheaper brand.
Did?
Now we have some Coyote ones in the warehouse.
Yep.
To hand out to a lucky winner.
Yeah. So Morphlate is going to become a retailer for Coyote.
Cool. I was going to say something about that.
That's kind of the connection where it's going. Yeah. So we're going to be carrying Coyote's deflators, the automatic deflators as well.
Okay.
Cool. Which are the kind they're essentially an improved version of the Stons.
Oh.
Right. So the dude took the Ston deflator because he had the contract for Stons for the United States distribution.
Okay.
Back in the 2000s. And then Ston pulled his contract. And so he took the Ston design that he had and improved the internals on it.
Right.
And came out with the Coyote deflators. So he has the Coyote deflators and the Coyote inner beadlocks. And Morphlate's going to be retailing both of those.
Sweet.
Here in the future. So
kind
of goes together really well with off-road tire pressure management, management with kind of what we're turning into with Morphlate all around.
Yeah. Hand in hand.
So, it'll turn out really well.
Tire and tire.
Yeah. Literally with the inner beadlocks, this tire and tire. Yeah. We got a set of 17-inch, max of 10-inch wide rims for Coyote inner beadlocks.
Sweet.
For a lucky winner. So,
okay. That's a fantastic giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know it was coming. So I'm excited for that as well.
I've been keeping that one a little bit of a secret. So,
yeah.
Coyote inner beadlocks for February. January, we're recording before January is done. I think it's technically the 31st today when we're recording. So we will get out the F&G's birthdays, January winner for the roller cam pack once we get back from Hammers next week.
Yeah, next Thursday's episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
So huge shout out to Roller Cam while we're there for supplying that pack of about $160-ish worth of cam straps.
That depends on how many you took out of the bundle.
I was good because I needed to get cam straps too, but I wasn't planning ahead.
Okay.
And so I didn't have enough time to order any from Roller Cam.
We're just borrowing them.
We're borrowing them and they'll end up back in the bag. Okay. So you will get all of them back. Okay. Whoever wins.
Perfect.
Yeah. So thank you. Huge shout out to Roller Cam. I want to go get some of the rope rollers.
Yeah. I'm sure we can probably reach back out to them, figure something out.
Yeah. So we got that. That's January's giveaway. If you're listening to this episode and like, oh, I want to get in. Sorry, too late. You're not in time. Get in earlier. Pay attention to the giveaways for each month. And the way you get in for that is go over to irate4x4.com and go down to the Snail Trail 4x4 forum. And then your sign up options, if you're on a computer, kind of a desktop device, then you have them on your right-hand side of the screen on the Snail Trail forum. If you're on a mobile device, like a tablet, your cell phone, anything that has a smaller screen than a computer, then it'll all be at the bottom of the page for your sign up options.
Perfect.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Cool. So that's the January giveaway and upcoming February giveaway. So if you're interested in winning a set of the inner beadlocks from Coyote, make sure you go do that over at irate 4x4 and get in before February 29th.
Yeah. Leap year.
Leap year this year. Cool. You know, it's going to be really cool is if my kid shows up on leap year day. Leap year day.
Yeah. There's a good possibility of that. I mean, the secretary is due early March, right?
March 3rd.
Yeah. So that you could have a leap year.
I've been told that the doctors will not induce labor
on purpose
to like catch a date that you want.
Yeah. That would
so
be funny.
I'm going to be like, I'm
like do jumping jacks, go eat that pizza. There's that Prego pizza. You should go buy one of those.
It's Prego pizza?
Yeah, it's like this I forgot the name of the company, but it's a food. There's a chain in Sacramento region. There's like 3 or 4 of them, and they have a pizza called the Prego pizza. I believe that's actually the name of it.
Okay.
And it has like it's really high garlic and high like veggie counts, and I don't know. I don't know if it has any meats on it. But it's supposed
Oreos and pickles.
Yeah, it's supposed to induce labor.
Interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of people have sworn by it. Like, I was 2 weeks over and I ate this pizza and the next day I went into labor or whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh, man. I wonder if they...
and I've eaten it, but I didn't have
You didn't go into labor?
No, I didn't. I had a food baby, but not, yeah.
Oh, man. I'll have to look into that. That'd be interesting if we can find a way to induce labor without having
like
the doctors
27th,
induce
28th.
it.
You just like have some more pizza, get some pizza, do some jumping jacks. That'd be fun. And that's let's kind of move into that direction.
Okay.
Tyler and I haven't sat down and discussed exactly what's going on during that time period.
No,
once
we haven't.
the little kiddo has showed up into this world, but we're not going to stop. Maybe I can get Tyler on once a week or something like that. If not, I mean, we'll figure it out. But we'll definitely still have some episodes coming out. I'm trying to line up some interviews so that we can just continue on with the podcast. We might reduce to one episode a week for
a little bit.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll try to continue to go 2 episodes a week for a little while until I run out of things to talk about, and then maybe I go down to 1 a week. So, but yeah, so we're not stopping. Just Tyler might take a short break.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see. It all just everything. I'm putting everything on hold starting February 15th until we kind of figure out life.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it doesn't take 6 months to figure out life. I'm hoping it only takes like 1 month to kind of figure things out. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're trying some new microphones.
Yeah, these are cool.
Sort of old microphones, but wireless connection.
Yeah, these are pretty sweet. So hopefully the sound is coming through. We kind of did a test recording and it sounded great to us. So hopefully it's coming through for everybody out there really well.
If the issues of sound are coming through your microphone or your speakers really poorly, and then I hope my inbox does not get flooded because they turned out really bad. But we'll find out also when we do editing, and maybe we'll have to completely record this podcast.
Yay!
Yeah. Across from the Morphlate booth, is our good friends at Yokohama.
Yeah,
which is pretty rad.
So granted, I've only been over at the Morphlate booth, I think a total of like 2 hours so far this week.
Sure.
But there was nobody at the Yokohama booth. So
I have seen one guy moving a few things around.
Okay.
He the screen for the sign up thing is in front in the sun. Let me move it to the shade.
Gotcha.
That was the only time I've seen somebody there.
Okay.
But Yokohama usually has some booth babes.
They typically do.
So maybe they'll come out Thursday, Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday during main events.
The main races. I know that the MFers were looking forward to those.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. Absolutely. But we're definitely good friends with Yokohama, and we are giving away a set of Yokohama tires.
We are, yep.
Once we get to 750 reviews on Apple Podcasts. So go out there, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and when we get to 750, we will use a random number generator, and we will pick out a podcast or a review, for our podcast, and you're going to win a set of tires from Yokohama.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's going to be me.
Yeah, right.
I
might need some new tires here in a little bit. I think we're coming. We'll check on next Thursday when we're around better internet.
Yep.
We're coming close to 600. So we're going to give away a swag pack at 600, 650, and 700. And then, once we get to 750, a set of tires.
Cool. I like it. That's a cool thank you to Yokohama for doing that for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other kind of updates, giveaway stuff that we missed? Do we want to get into a short update of getting to KOH? And all that?
Absolutely. That does remind me we should do an Instagram post right now-ish talking about Fissure Mountain.
Oh, for tonight?
Yeah, because we don't need to talk about it on the podcast because it already have happened. But we need to post up about we're going to Fissure tonight.
Cool. We are going to Fissure at 7:00. Whereas the meetup, you guys, we've talked about the details there. So we'll let you guys know how that goes after it's happened, even though it's already happened.
Yep. Yep. We'll talk about it on next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Or Monday or something.
Yeah.
Not this upcoming month, the following.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
Okay.
I have questions.
I've got answers, maybe.
Where's Bobcat?
In the yard.
Okay.
At my house.
At your house.
Actually, the shop
yard.
Is
that code for, did you build a house up here or in the lake bed? What is
No.
That you didn't tell me about? Did you park it over at Lasertown? What do you?
No, that's not my house either.
That's not your house?
No.
You're not renting a room from Cody?
Bobcat did not make the trip down.
I noticed.
Charlotte did not make the trip down.
No, Charlotte did not.
The PJ trailer did not make the trip down.
Nope.
Just Clifford and I
are
here all by our lonesome, and about 1,000 other people.
Yes.
Maybe
70,000
now. Yeah. 100,000 maybe later. We'll see.
Probably. It's been 100. I'm pretty sure it was 100,000 a couple of years ago, and it definitely hit 100,000 last year. So The lake bed is not full yet. I went up to the lookout last night and kind of looked at things. I was like, there's still a lot of space that can be filled in with lights out there.
Oh yeah.
So
There's space in between a lot of people. It's still
Yeah.
like spread out, but things are going to fill in here in the next few
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only down for a few days. I'm actually driving home, the day that this episode's coming out. I cruised down on Monday, and so my Tuesday was walk around Hammertown, check things out, get a lay of the land, do some networking, and then we have 2 episodes at least that I think we're recording today, maybe 3. And that was the gist of it. And then I'm heading home tomorrow, and so I could go out and do some night runs, but most of my days are kind of taken up by doing a little bit of work for the podcast and Snail Trail 4x4. So I just felt it was going to be easier for me to just cruise down and not have to worry about trailer logistics or any of that. Plus, it's supposed to be raining and possibly snowing on the way home, which I was sort of trying to beat. And just towing a trailer through all that's not fun.
Yeah.
So I just chose not to bring anything down.
Okay.
And was pretty much my thought process.
Okay.
I left about 5 in the morning, I think it was, when I started.
On Sunday?
On Monday. Monday morning.
Okay.
Yep. Left about 5 in the morning and pretty much set the cruise control and sailed on down. I had about 100-ish miles, or no, how far was I? Yeah, I can't. It was only an hour or 2 hours into the trip, and I was hungry and I needed to go to the bathroom, and I was getting thirsty besides coffee. And so I pulled over pretty early and just topped off a tank and got some food and cruised more or less the rest of the way down. I came all the way down to Lucerne Valley and filled my tanks. That was my next stop. So I cruised the whole rest of the way. I think it was like Ceres to Lucerne Valley. And I topped off the tanks there and cruised the rest of the way here. My trip down was fairly uneventful.
That's good.
Yeah, I figured out though that when I tow, I have that weird vibration. There's a vibration that's happening at like 70 miles an hour ish. Well, that vibration is happening when the trailer's not attached to also.
So it's not the trailer.
So the vibration's not the trailer. Yeah. So definitely before I head out to Moab, I'm going to probably take the drive shaft off and maybe go have it serviced.
Okay.
And then test that out. Because who knows when that drive shaft, the U joints down there in that drive shaft have ever been touched. There's 300 miles on that truck. So I'll do that. I'll take that apart, which shouldn't be, and get that tested and just see how that is. And maybe that'll solve it. And if not, then yeah, I got to start looking into other options, what it might be, because I have had the wheels balanced as well. So I'm at this moment, I'm eliminating the wheels and tires being a problem. So we'll see. I'll need to run a few tests. But yeah, so it really limited my speed on the way down because I didn't want to go over 70 miles an hour. So I was like 68 on the cruise control and just floating down here, pretty simple. And Clifford was no problems, going pretty well. And I was getting like 19 miles per gallon.
Wow.
Yeah. Better than the Tacoma would have got, especially seriously. Because I would have been going faster if I brought the Tacoma. But they fixed the needle bearings in the Tacoma before I left.
That was in your CV, right?
Yeah, I had to pull it out. I had to pull the axle out, which was a pain in the ass. Fix the needle bearings, and I'm still getting that weird humming going on. So that's the reason I brought Clifford.
Gotcha.
Is because there's still something going on with that I believe the front end of the Tacoma. I spoke to Dimitri out at the Hot Metal Fab Tacoma Powered meetup. And he actually says he has a knuckle at his shop that he's going to let me borrow.
Like a brand new one? Or
yeah, it has like 2,000 miles on it. It was a pull-off of Trail 4Runner's vehicle when he put the portals on.
Yeah.
So there's no miles on it. It's a 4Runner's knuckle, but I'm fairly certain they're the same thing.
Yeah.
And he probably wouldn't have offered it to me if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I'll double check. And so I'm going to pull mine knuckle off and put that knuckle on and drive it around and see if that's the problem. And then that way I know if I need to replace the wheel bearing or if not, I've had a few people suggest that it might be a pinion bearing or the carrier bearing in the back, because I don't think it's the trail.
Yeah.
So we'll continue the diagnosis on that. Every vehicle that I own for the most part now has a weird vibration.
A weird vibration.
The Tundra,
Yeah.
or excuse me, no, I don't have a Tundra. The Tacoma has that weird vibration at like 65 miles an hour. The Ford has a weird vibration at 70 miles an hour, and Bobcat has a weird vibration like every
Every
but it's more around 7.
Yeah.
I did think about just driving by.
Yeah. I mean,
And thought that might be an interest.
he could have done it. I mean,
I think he could have done
yeah.
it too.
Mhm.
And I almost did it just to prove that he could do it. But there's more it's a more comfortable ride with Clifford.
Yeah. And I mean, if you brought Bobcat down, then you would want to go wheel him.
Yeah. And
And
I would
if you
need to figure
break
out how to
him,
get home.
yeah. If you break anything, then yeah, you got to figure out how to get him back home. So,
Cool. So how was your trip down?
it was more eventful. So I had the F-350 with the Lance on it.
Yeah.
And then we had the enclosed trailer, 24-foot enclosed trailer.
Yeah.
With Kermit in it and a lot of Morphlate product.
Right.
Compressors, hose kits, blah, blah, blah. It was heavy, and we have the weight distribution hitch on it.
Okay.
And when we set up the brackets for the weight distribution hitch, it was like an inch further back on the tongue than what it really should have been.
Okay.
And so when we set it up and everything, and we had to do it that way because the brake controller was there on the tongue.
Sure.
So and if we wanted to move the brackets any more forward, then we would have had to relocate the brake controller. So I was like, I kind of set up the brackets. I was like, I put the weight distribution bars on the brackets to kind of look at everything. I was like, that looks good. It doesn't look like it's going to pop off or get pulled out of the bracket during turning or anything. And so we just did it like that. And so as soon as we pull out of the parking lot for the warehouse,
yeah.
The trailer is really, really low.
Sure.
And the trailer sits so low because the jack on it doesn't go up super high. So we have to keep the ball hitch on the truck lower to get underneath the coupler of the trailer.
Sure.
Either that or we need to start parking the trailer on blocks of wood to get it up higher so that we can have the tow ball up higher.
Right, but is the trailer level or is it like
fairly level? It's maybe a little bit in. Once it's loaded, it's a little bit down towards the tongue.
Okay,
but for the most part, it's level.
Sure. Can you just put a few blocks of wood underneath the jack on the front?
You could.
You could just, if you put a 4x4 there, you lift it up 3.5 inches.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one thing. The only issue, I don't know if it's issue or not, or whether it's just being lazy, is that trailer gets kind of moved around a little bit here and there. So every time we move it, we got to move the blocks with it and put it back under, and it just becomes a process. Lazy. So yeah. So I set it up and it's low, and the way that the weight distribution bars are held into the brackets are with this little pin that's an L bracket pin. So it sits over the top of the weight distribution bar, and then the long side of the pin comes down through the bracket, and you put a cotter pin in the bottom of it.
Okay. And is this at the tongue or further back on
the tongue? So where the weight distribution bar connects into the tongue, that bracket. And that way that pin holds the bar from swinging out off of the bracket.
Sure.
However, the pin, because it hangs down below the bracket, so the bracket hangs 3 to 4 inches below the tongue, and that pin hangs another 2 to 3 inches below the bracket.
Oh, man. So you're like 5 inches lower than...
Literally, those pins are maybe 3 inches off the ground. 3 to 4 inches, maybe.
Don't go through a dip.
Yeah, and every parking lot you come in and out of is a dip.
Right.
So, as soon as we pulled out of the Morphlate parking lot, the pin hit and dragged on the ground, which then pulled the bracket backwards, which then pulled the bracket off of the bar, the weight distribution bar.
Oh.
And so the bar ended up falling on the ground.
Yeah.
And while we were turning, it ended up jamming itself between the ground and the jack. And so once we kind of got leveled back out and kind of pulled off into the center of the road, to get out and be like, okay, something's dragging, got to figure this out. We'll figure out it's the weight distribution bar. We couldn't jack the trailer up because the jack couldn't go down to the ground because the weight distribution bar was jammed underneath the jack. He's still alive. Oh, that's a good one.
Paper towel around here?
Yeah.
Just killed a mosquito. Had a lot of Tyler's blood in it.
Probably.
Yeah.
One's been smacking while I was sleeping, I guess.
Sorry.
So anyways.
Yeah. Back to it.
The weight distribution bar got jammed underneath the jack, so we couldn't jack up the trailer. And so we had to find a way to unjam the bar so we can get the jack down on the trailer, jack it back up, and then get the bar back in the bracket.
Yeah, okay.
And reposition the bracket back to normal.
Did you bring your floor jack with you?
We had a bottle jack. Yep.
Okay.
So we used a bottle jack to kind of relieve some of the pressure on the bar, and then we used a hammer, my favorite tool, the 3-pound drill hammer.
Drill hammer, yeah.
To beat it out from underneath the jack. So that was fine. That worked out. And we're kind of looking at it, and I was like, man, did this bracket not get tightened? And we're trying to figure out why the bracket got cocked backwards.
Okay.
And we figured out it was the pin. The pin dragged on the floor, which pulled the whole bracket backwards.
Yeah, floor being
ground, the concrete, the blacktop.
Sure.
And so, yeah, so we're like, oh, fuck, okay. How do we'll just watch it from here on out?
Mm-hmm.
And it happened 4 times on our trip.
Wow.
Yeah. So
not like every time you stop for gas?
Pretty much every time we stopped for gas and came out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
The weight distribution bar came off.
Because you wouldn't move that much on the freeway.
Nope. Yeah, it was fine on the freeway.
Off of the roads.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you go to get gas or need to go to the, get some. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So every time you left the freeway, you had a problem.
Pretty much. Yeah. So we got down, we took, Google sent us down I-5 all the way through the Grapevine and then over to Hesperia and just straight over from there. And apparently you guys all go through Barstow and the Four Corners.
I go down 99
to
Bakersfield and then cut across to Barstow.
Okay.
And then for whatever highway shoots down, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Which you've gone with me before.
I've gone that route before. Just Google.
You like that 24/7 cafe.
You go right through Cafe 247
on your route.
So, yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So you come up to 247 also.
Straight across. Yeah.
Interesting. So we attack that.
You end up at Cafe 247, I think, from the north side, and you take a left and go east.
And
I just come straight through from west to east.
Oh.
Straight through it. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So I went a completely day.
Yeah. But anyways, so we were in Hesperia. We pulled off in Hesperia to get our last fuel up and put fuel in Kermit, fill up the 5-gallon gas cans, and to get a couple of last minute groceries.
Okay.
And so when we pulled into the Vaughn's parking lot, Safeway parking lot, Vaughn's, the bar popped off again. And so I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of this happening. We're stopping. We're pulling the radio equipment out of Kermit to get to all my tools. And we're redoing the entire setup on the tongue of the trailer.
Yeah. Damn.
So we pulled out the grinder. We pulled out tools. We pulled out an impact, 1/4-inch impact. And so we moved the brake controller over to the center beam on the tongue and then took the brackets and moved them up to where they should be. And that trailer had these like round bar brackets, I think, that were for clipping chain onto, maybe.
Okay.
On the tongue that I had cut off originally because they were kind of in the way of the weight distribution brackets. But the 2 round bars were still on the bottom of the frame.
Mm.
And so we found out that if we put the weight distribution bracket in there, the bolt fits perfectly between those those welded round bars.
Oh.
And so now we're like, if it drags at all, it won't pull that bracket backwards anymore. It's kind of locked in place by the welded round bars.
Yeah.
So that worked out great. And then we took the pin that has the cotter pin in it that holds the weight distribution bar from popping out, and we cut it flush with the bottom of the bracket. And then that pin has the cotter pin is like a loop one so it connected to the pin from the top and then hooked underneath it under the bracket to hold it all in. And then we took some wire and carabiners and hooked them onto the pin and then wrapped the wire around the tongue of the trailer so the pin doesn't come up and allow the L pin to come off. The cotter pin doesn't swing up.
Sure.
And allow the pin to come out.
Wow. Okay.
So after we did that, no more issues.
Nice. Yeah.
We just had to redo everything.
Yeah, that sucks.
But we made it work, and I was like, you know what? We're not going to try and just
Band-Aid this anymore. Let's redo it all. We know what the problem is, why it's happening. Let's fix it and fix it now.
Yeah, I was about an hour out from the Hammertown or the
Boone
Estate
Road?
Heights area. Yeah,
Mhm.
Boone Road. And I got a call from Jason at Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. He's like, "Where are you at?" I'm about an hour out from turning off the highway. He's like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. Where's Tyler?" I'm like, "I don't know. We're not caravanning together. We left at different times.
Yep.
He was scheduled to leave, I think, at 6:30. I left at 5. I'm like a half an hour away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So if he left right on time, then he's roughly an hour behind me.
Yeah.
And then you showed up like 4 or 5 hours after.
Yeah.
That.
So we got a little bit later start from having to, we had a lot of things we had to pack and make sure we had in there. And so we ended up getting on the freeway at 7:30 instead of 6:30.
Got it.
And then we had about another hour and a half, 2 hours of delays in the weight distribution bar and etc.
Got it. Yeah, I had a 20-minute random. And I
Oh,
almost
I had-
messaged you and be like, "Hey, there's this delay," but I'm like, I'm sure he's watching his GPS because he doesn't know where to go.
Yeah.
So he'll see it, the warning come up on his GPS.
Yeah. Oh, and we had some delays at gas stations.
Yeah.
I had 2 really shitty gas station experiences.
Because you're so big, you could only go in a certain area.
Yeah, I have to go in the truck sides.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I take up the entire side of regular gas stations.
All 4 pumps.
Yeah, all 4 pumps get blocked.
Sure.
So I go through the big rig stops, which pumps a hell of a lot faster too, which is nice.
Oh, interesting. But the orifice is bigger.
It's a much bigger, yeah. It pumps 5 times faster, something like that, 4 times faster.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we go through there, and the first one I went to, the pump wasn't working correctly. It's like the first one I go into, because I don't have a commercial credit card. It's a personal card, right? Yeah. It won't let me pay at the pump. For fuel when you go through the big rigs. They only accept commercial cards. So I have to go inside.
Sure.
And then they're like, "Okay, what's your company name? Blah, blah, blah. What's your invoice number? What's your dealer number? Whatever." And I was like, "I don't have any of that." And they're like, so I have to explain, I'm a private entity. And they're like, they don't know how to handle those at the commercial, the big rig fuel up. So we had that issue. I went back out to the pump and the pump wasn't turning on. And it said, hose, like a mismatch hose or like hose inability, something. And I was like, "It's not turning." So I go back inside. It's not turning on. The guy's like, "Did you pull the lever up?" I'm like, "Yes, I pulled the lever up." And he goes, "All right, I'll send somebody out for you and have it take a look at it." So I go back out. I'm sitting out there for about another 5 to 10 minutes. Nobody shows up. So I go back inside and I'm like, "Hey, nobody came out to the pump." And he goes, "Well, what's going on?" And I was like, "The pump's not working. It says there's a hose mismatch or something." And he goes, "I've never seen it do that before." And I was like, "Well, it's doing it right now."
Yeah. Would you like to?
Would you like to come out and see it? And so the guy came out and looked at it and he fussed around with it. He goes, "I've never seen this before." He goes, "All right, we'll have to move you over to a different pump. Go ahead and choose any other pump." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Do I need to come in and tell you?" He goes, "No, I'll see you on the cameras. I'll transfer your $200 over to the other pump and I'll watch for you on the cameras and I'll just do it." And I said, "Okay, cool." So I had to pull out and around because you can't just back up at the big row ones. Out and around, go all loop away all the way around and pull into the stall next to me. And I get there and I'm sitting there waiting about another 5-10 minutes. Nothing's happening at the pump. I look up at the camera. I'm waving at the camera, going, "What's going on?" Nothing. So I go back inside and I'm like, "Hey," and there's a new person at the teller window right there, the thing that manages the pumps there. And she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, I was at pump 18. I'm now at 19. I need my $200 moved over." And she goes, "Why?" So I had to explain the whole situation over to her. And I was like, "Where's the guy that was here?" She goes, "Oh, he went on his break." I'm like, so he didn't watch the cameras and move everything over. He just took off and went on it. She was like, "Yeah." So I had to explain everything. And then she couldn't find my transaction to move everything over. So we literally spent like 30 to 40 minutes at that gas station dealing with that issue.
That's ridiculous.
trying to get diesel.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah. So I was like, "God, you guys get your shit together." Anyway, so that was another delay. And then we had another delay where a pump was not numbered. And I was like, there's no number on your pump. And she goes, there's numbers on every single pump. And so I went back out there. I took a picture of the pump, came back in. I showed her. I was like, there's no number on your pump. And she looks at it. She goes, oh, which one are you? I was like, that one right there with the camper. And she goes, oh, that's 18. I was like, 18 says it's the next one over. And she goes, no, it's because the one on one side of me was 18. The one on the other side of me was 19. I was like, I'm at 18 and a half. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And she goes, no. Apparently the way big rigs are done is it's a stall and the pumps on both sides of you are the same number.
Yeah.
So, and they're hooked into the same number terminal system so that you can fill up both your diesels on each side of the big rig. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Now it's explained to me.
Thank you for letting me know that.
But all the other pumps had numbers on them. Yeah. Every stall had a number on it except the one that I needed to fill up from.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
18 and 3/4.
Yeah.
What was the Harry Potter number?
Yeah.
16
9 and 3/4.
9 and 3/4. Yeah.
So anyways, that was another one that didn't take us long. We got to figure it out fairly quickly, but I was like, just put a number on that pump and say, this is 18 and the one across from it is 18.
Yeah. That would confuse. Like, I'm at 2 18s.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So anyways, our trip down, that was pretty much the extent of it. And then we made it down 5:30, roughly, down here. And I had a meeting I had to get on immediately. And we kind of had dinner, but we didn't have dinner. We missed it. And so we had kind of a couple snacks, and then we had to go and set up our booth in town.
Right. And
see if we could fit the 24-foot enclosed trailer in our booth.
Right.
Which it did.
Yeah.
It fit perfectly. It fits great. So the booth got set up, and then we came back in, and by the time we got back, it was like 10:30.
Yeah, it was late.
And we were all just dead tired. We've been up since 4. And so we all went to bed.
I think we all went to bed pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was in bed like at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all crashed out. So.
Yep. And then, so that was Monday and arriving and travels down. So it was slightly eventful, more just frustrating, annoying at the gas stations than anything. And then finally getting fed up with losing the weight distribution bar over and over again.
That sounds brutal, man.
It wasn't as bad as my trip to Big Bear though. So that's good. I don't, as long as I don't have to replace a trailer axle in a Home Depot parking lot again, I'm doing good.
Right. So how was the Ford with the Lance camper, the 24-foot trailer, a bunch of more Morphlate stuff, Kermit in the back, 2 employees, their gear, like there was
radio, 4 radio repeaters.
Yeah. All of Kermit's tools.
Mm-hmm.
How did it handle?
Handled amazing. That truck it doesn't care. It's amazing.
Wow.
So we went up and over the Grapevine, right?
Yeah.
Which is notorious.
Yeah.
For not being easy on vehicles, especially vehicles towing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we went up and over, and we just at a certain point you stop driving by miles per hour or RPM or anything. You start watching your EGTs
per mile. Oh.
That too. But no, you start watching your EGTs, your engine, your exhaust gas temperatures.
Yes.
And so aluminum melts at 1200 degrees.
Okay.
So if your exhaust gas temperatures get to 1200 degrees, you're melting your block very shortly. It's in short order soon. So,
or the turbos.
Something's melting at 1200 degrees, right? So you just kind of watch it, and you keep your EGTs under 1,000, like whenever you can. And the F-350 was pulling all of that at 55 miles an hour and staying right around 900 degrees on the EGTs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the engine coolant temps would get up to like 215 to 220. And you could hear those fans must be massive, and they crank up. And when it cranks up, 55 miles an hour going up the Grapevine with all the weight and everything, it would cool it down to 180 degrees, the coolant temperature, within 2 minutes.
And when the fans turned on, did it like move you forward 5 miles
Pretty
an hour
much
faster?
Yes. Yes. It's like an airplane.
Sucking you up the mountain.
Yes, they're crazy. So it did very impressively.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So truck did awesome. It was fantastic. I'm really impressed with this truck so far and everything it does.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do yesterday?
Tuesday was setting up repeater day.
Yeah.
Setting up radios. So
you were like, do you want to go with me? I'm like, I don't know. I want to walk around Hammertown and check a few things out. does sound fun. Like I could go up there and help you out. How long you think you're going to be gone? And you're like, I've got 4 radios to set up and some other had some swag packs for the Onyx and more flate scavenger hunt and like there was something else you had going on up there. And I was like, I might be gone 5 to 6 hours. I'm like, no, I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk around Hammertown and talk to people.
Yep. Yep. So that's essentially what we did. And there was a few people asking if anyone's going to Wheeling Tuesday morning. And I was like, I am going up to Fissure Mountain. Okay. So I conned 15 people roughly.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Into going wheeling, quote unquote.
Sure.
And then we got up to the top of Fissure and I put everybody to work.
There you go. Perfect. All right. You're setting antennas up. Yep. You're running cables. You're unloading the Forerunner.
Yep.
I'm connecting all the dots.
Yep. I'm connecting everything together, make sure it all works, doing the testing. So we got all the 4 repeaters set up, everything functioning and working in an hour and a half from the time we got up there.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is pretty good. If it was by myself, it probably would have taken me 3 to 4 hours.
Cool.
So I'm very, very thankful of everybody that went up to Fissure Mountain on Wednesday or Tuesday with me.
Yeah, gave it.
Yes. And the repeaters are all working great. So we have 2 repeaters that are running for race cars. One of them is for Amber and one of them is for Randy Slauson.
Okay.
And then we have a pit crew repeater that both of those pit crew teams are going to be sharing communications on. And then I set up a 4th repeater just for communications amongst everybody at Hammertown Heights Estates.
Okay.
And it doesn't seem like anybody's really cares about using that one. So far I haven't heard any traffic on it. I think I'm just going to axe that one from the plan for next year.
Well, I would leave it out and not let people talk on the pit crew one. Because I asked you, which one do I talk on? And you're like, oh, talk on the pit crew one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not a part of a pit crew. I should be talking on the other one.
In theory,
it should be for general conversation.
Yes.
You need to talk on this one. If you're running pit crew information.
Correct. But it doesn't seem like anybody else is thinking that way.
No.
So I think everybody else, when they just go out wheeling, they're going on simplex and not using the repeater.
Well, sometimes you'll be like, hey, Tyler, where are you at?
Yep. Hey, you guys over in her problems right now? What are you guys doing?
Exactly.
When are you coming back? Are you going to be back
always
for
in
lunch?
her problems.
I am definitely part of her problems. I am her problem.
Her problem. Yeah.
Yes.
But okay, interesting. I think it, in my mind,
I think it does too. I think I just need to do a better job at telling everybody when all the emails start going out. Like it needs to be a part of the main information that goes out for Hammertown Heights Estates when the first emails go out and starts coordinating everybody that's here.
Sure.
Because we've got 52, 53 individual entity people groups, right? Within our camp.
Yeah, we have a huge camp.
The camp grows every year. So yeah, I think Thursday night, my dinner, I'm cooking for 54 people. So, yeah, I think it'd be moving forward good to have Dolly and Jason send out that repeater info to everybody before they come down. Yeah, it'll be up on whatever. And then I'm also have an APRS digipeater up there as well.
Oh, 5?
So I technically have 5 repeaters running up on Fissure Mountain right now. And it's running on 200 amp hour of lithium batteries. So it's 2 mini 100 amp hours. They're awesome. They're about the size of an ammo can.
Wow.
With 2 little handles on them. So I wired those together in parallel to get 12 volts and 200 amp hours and put it into a distribution block and then have all the repeaters plugged into that distribution block for power.
And then solar.
And then solar is it's a 220 watt panel and it runs about 180, 190 right around there. So in theory, it should be good. I know that I had that set up with 2 repeaters and the APRS digipeater at Sierra Trek on the solar panel, 100 amp hours of battery for like a month. And it all worked and stayed working that whole month because I was too lazy to go back up and get it after Sierra Trek. So doubling the amount of battery capacity and being lithium, they can get drained to super low and still maintain all their power. And then hopefully we just have enough sun during the race week, which I don't know if we will. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
So how was the trip up and down Fissure?
That's fine. Uneventful. I went around to, we started taking everybody around the long way around the mountain range.
Sure.
to go back through RP2, Remote Pit 2, and then up to Fissure. And I ended up getting the paths kind of crisscrossed and ended up having to go through the mud puddle of the lake bed.
Okay. Yeah.
And everybody else went around it. I was, I think, the only person to go through the mud puddle. But everybody like went out to Chocolate Thunder and then took a left along the mountain range. And when you go that way, it's a lot slower than getting on the main access road that drives out and around back into RP2 for all the chase vehicles and whatnot.
Right. Okay.
And so I was looking for that road, and I had trouble finding. The first time I come out here, I never find that road. I have to find it by coming back from RP2 and follow the main road back from RP2, and that's how I find it. Even though I have Onyx, I have the road on Onyx, and I have it pulled up while I'm trying to find it, and I still can't find it. I always end up on these little side trails and getting out there the first time, and then every other time after that, I'm like, okay, here it is. I know where to go. So anyways, went out there, dude, links, coilovers, and air bumps out here. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 4-wheel underground suspension was allowing you to float through the rocks and
literally. So I took, yes.
Nice.
Float through the rocks and sting like a Forerunner.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yes. No, the 4-wheel underground suspension has been amazing out here. It's been great. Just rock crawling up in the Sierras that we have, right?
Sure. Right.
I have not gotten to go fast through desert stuff with it yet.
We never have.
No, yeah. And I've been able, I can't go fast at the Leaf Springs. Even with the bump stops, I was still bottoming out the bump stops. I'd have to take it easy. Going out there, I was taking it easy because I had all the radio equipment in the back, but I was still hitting like on the wash back there across the lake and through Remote Pit 2. I was doing 30 to 40.
Wow.
On that wash. And it was great. It floated. You could feel the tires and suspension going on all the mini whoops in the wash. Mm-hmm. They weren't really whoops at all. It's like a washboard, right?
Yeah.
Big washboard. And it was just going over the tops of them. You can just feel it. It's floating over. I was like, that's pretty cool. And we went up to the top of Fissure. Everybody met up. Pretty much we got split into 3 different groups. Okay. And everybody congregated at the Fissure trailhead pretty much within 5 minutes of each other.
Sweet.
So that was nice. We got everybody back together, went up Fissure Mountain, no issues, got everything set up. And then 2 groups came down. One group came down with me. One group went down Jack, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So that was the Tom group. Tom Rosa wanted to go wheeling.
Sure.
They went down Jack. I came back out. When I came out, I was like, I have 600 pounds less weight in the back of the Forerunner now, and stuff that I don't really care if it gets broken because it's all tools. So I was like, let's go see what the suspension can do, this 4-wheel underground stuff, man. And I got up to about 40 to 50 miles an hour bombing through Remote Pit 2. And there was a couple times when I was like, oh, this is going to hurt. And just, and it's like, I don't think I jumped it, but it felt like you get that weightlessness.
Yeah.
And then it just comes down and keeps going. Right. And I was like, that was pretty damn cool. And then I hit a G out.
Oh yeah.
So it's my first G out with the new suspension, the 4-wheel underground. And I hit it and it kind of like bucked up the rear end slightly. It was just enough to clear the crossroad that I was going through. So I'm pretty sure I jumped that, but I was coming up to it and I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. I don't have time to brake. I can't stop. So I just kind of gassed it to try and pull the front end up. And so I did that and I got it over. We didn't hit the berm on the other side of that one, but as it came over, the back end came up just slightly, ever so much more than the front end, landed a little bit harder on the front end, leveled out the truck, hit all 4 bumps. And I was a little cockeyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bump stops, there are bumps. And then I got it turned back just in enough time to hit the next one.
Ooh.
And that one was bigger. And because I wasn't accelerating anymore, because I'm just coming off of this first one, I went right into the berm on the other side of it.
Oh man.
Front end, everything just smashed right into the berm of this crossroad on the trail I was on. And it hit hard.
Yeah.
I have not hit anything that hard in the Forerunner before.
Okay. And how's the Forerunner?
I immediately stopped and I was like, we gotta look at things. Like I thought for sure I ripped the lower link brackets off the frame, something on the front axle. Like rear axle is going to be fine. The front axle took all the force of that.
Okay.
And I was like, I bent my links. I ripped brackets off. Something is wrong.
Something's broken.
Something is broken.
Yeah.
Steering, knuckles. I don't know. Something is broken. And so I get out and I crawl under and I'm like, I'm trying to find a crack, something that broke. Nothing.
Oh, really?
No damage whatsoever. And so I'm like, I hit that hard. I was like, there's no way there's no damage from that.
Right.
And so I had one of my employees with me, Jake. And I'm like, dude, just look for cracks anywhere. Check the front frame, the new frame. I was like, look and see if there's an impact mark on the diff, like from, because my steering geometry and packaging in the front is such tight clearances. Any little movement and things are going to be contacting things.
Right.
So I'm like, look for impact marks from the pan hard bar, the drag link, the tie rod on anything, oil pan, diff, whatever's there, the upper link bracket on the axle. So we're looking at everything. Can't find any impact marks.
Wow.
And I've got like 1/16 of an inch clearance at full lock on the tie rod to the diff. And I have a half inch clearance between the drag link and the oil pan on full stuff.
Yes.
So I thought for sure there would be at least a dent or something in the oil pan because it's stuffed hard. And so I'm looking at everything. I'm like, there's nothing. There's no impact marks. Nothing. Everything stayed cleared of itself in the front. I'm like, okay, there has to be cracks in the welds or something on the brackets on the frame side brackets. I'm looking at everything. Everything's good. So I'm starting to think maybe this wasn't that hard of a hit. I'm just a pussy.
That could be.
Because I've never hit something that hard before.
You haven't experienced. Yeah.
I haven't experienced that before. So I'm like, maybe I'm just, it wasn't really a hard hit for what the suspension is. Yeah. For a linked suspension, maybe like if I was on leaf springs, it would have sheared the center pins, the axle, the front axle would have been under my rear axle. Like it would have been bad. And I'm like, maybe this is just links. They're set up and designed to do this.
Sure.
So I'm like, maybe it just wasn't that bad of a hit.
Wow. Okay.
And then I looked and as I was kind of going around taking one last look at everything, my driver's side strike pad
for the
air bump was caved in like 3/4 of an inch.
Whoa.
So
those are thick too.
I'm pretty sure and Brian, definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are 1/4 inch plate fully boxed in. And it caved in the strike pad.
Yeah, you hit hard.
And so after I saw that, I was like, that was a really hard hit.
Wow.
So I think to fix that, all I'm going to do is just take either a 1/4 inch plate and put it right on top or 3/8 or something and just weld it right there to bring it back up to the level for the strike pad. See how that goes. But I'm going to talk to Brian about it and see what he would recommend.
Sure.
To fix that strike pad. But yeah, it was a hard hit. And my armrests that I have in the 4Runner, the passenger side
in the window trough area.
The passenger side one went flying out the window, and we didn't realize it until we got further down the wash and back to the lake bed. And Jake goes, "Oh no, the armrest isn't here." And I was like, "Dang it, Jake, you have one job, and that's to watch after the armrest over there." So we had to turn back around and go find it. But after I kind of we decided that everything was fine. Ran down to the end to where the lake bed starts at the end of the wash, realized we didn't have the armrest, ran back found the armrest right away. And then ran back to the lake. So on the way back, I was like, let's really open this up and see what the suspension does. And so I hit 60 miles an hour going through that wash.
Wow. That's awesome.
60 miles an hour, 50 to 60 going through the wash and the lake bed. So going across there, I am so impressed with how that rig soaks up stuff in the desert and the 4-wheel underground suspension. Like I built it totally like, hey, I want a linked suspension for rock crawling.
Right.
But now I kind of get the allure to going fast through deserts.
That's dangerous talk.
It's a very dangerous talk, right? Yeah. So it's very cool to feel the suspension working as you're going fast.
That's awesome.
Through deserts. So
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Kudos, massive kudos to Brian. Like if nothing broke, nothing bent, everything stayed on just fine. It took that impact as well as it did. 100% completely sold on 4-wheel underground suspension stuff. Like everybody needs to go get one. If you're looking at linking your vehicle, just do it. It is massive, beefy stuff. And if it can withstand that impact, you're going to be good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm excited to start getting mine assembled, and so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I haven't told Brian yet, so I'm wondering, he's probably going to hear this podcast before I get a chance to tell him.
Yeah.
I might send him the picture and just don't say anything. I'll send it to him Thursday morning and see what he says after he hears the podcast.
Yeah, just say, listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
That's funny. Cool.
Yeah, that was Tuesday. I hit a bunch of swag packs. So 3 of them around kind of the valley. I'm not going to say where they are yet because people have until Sunday to find them.
Oh, true. This will come out. Okay. Makes sense.
So if you guys want to find out, there's a link to an Onyx folder on the Moreflate Instagram profile. Click that link, add the folder to your Onyx account. And if you're down here in the lake bed, you can go find some scavenger stuff. There's some swag, there's some Moreflate products and gift certificates and Snail Trail swag and Wheeling Wine and Whiskey swag in the 3 packs. One of them have already been found.
Yeah, that we know of.
Yep. So we did that. It was a big collaboration. We put it on my personal page, Snail Trail page, Wheeling Wine and Whiskey's Instagram, Moreflate's Instagram, and Onyx's Instagram.
Dang.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Can you invite more than one collaborator now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I didn't think you could. So like I invited Onyx and then I noticed it said invite collaborators, plural. Cool. And I was like, how many can we do? So I added everybody to it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, scavenger hunt going on the lake bed. One of them is very well marked in the folder as do not go and get it until the course is cold. And I'm dead serious about that. Please do not go get that one until the course is called cold for the day.
Got it.
Yes. That's a very serious note and pay attention to.
Absolutely.
So that was Tuesday. After that, it was just kind of dinner, hanging out. And then I took the MFers out to Turkey Claw up to the observation point on Turkey Claw.
Sure.
And looked out over the valley. We went to the Ultra 3.
Yep.
Ultra 3 was going on Tuesday night. And then we went over to Chocolate Thunder and watched Darwinism
play its course
until like 1 a.m.
Yeah. Understood there. Yeah. For sure.
And that was Tuesday.
Nice.
So, what did you do on Tuesday?
For the most part, I kind of just walked around and networked and talked to people. I walked around with Tyson. Tyson's in town from Kansas and drove out here this year.
Oh, he didn't take his private jet?
Nope. Didn't bring the private jet. Decided to drive. He's also leaving on Thursday and he's going down to Orange County and then meeting up with a friend. And then there's a hot rod expo going on Friday and Saturday. And he's going to attend that.
Nice.
And then he's going to make his.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's always fun to see him.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like whenever we come down here, King of the Hammers, he seems to show up and hang out with us, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Been a supporter of the podcast time. So it's cool to see you, Tyson. So walked around with him, went to the Toyota booth, saw a bunch of the new Toyota stuff. I won a fanny pack from Toyota.
Nice.
That was the mystery gift.
Okay.
So if you're going to spin the wheel, try to get that mystery. I saw there's a sweet FJ 45 out in the front, which has a collaboration stuff from like Marlin and Cruiser Outfitters and Cruiser. There's a few Cruiser ones and Valley Hybrids and Rusty Nail and I don't know if there's any more, but it has a racing number on it, so it maybe did a race at some point or somewhere. But it's really cool. It's really quite stock, but made to race.
Okay.
So it's pretty neat. They have the new Tacomas out there. They have the TRD Pro and a non-TRD Pro Tacoma out. They also have, I don't know exactly what I would call it, a prototype or a version of an FJ45 Troopy that is modernized in a little bit.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Concept vehicle, maybe?
Yeah, concept vehicle.
Okay.
Possibly. It is stretched a little longer and apparently it's been cut in half long ways and made wider than a normal FJ4. And then it's brought up to modern day outside and in.
Nice.
So yeah, super cool looking.
They didn't have one of the new stouts out?
No, they didn't have a new stout out.
Bummer.
But that newer FJ45 really looks like what are they called? A mega cab? Toyota mega shoot, that like a Hummer H1, but the Toyota version.
Okay.
Mega something.
H1, but
I forgot what they're called.
I didn't know Toyota made like a Hummer Humvee.
They made like a Humvee version.
Yeah.
And it's called a Mega Cab, or I can't
Okay.
remember. Yeah, look it up.
They have one of those out here though?
No, but it looks like that. That
gotcha.
FJ45 Troopy looks similar to that.
Okay.
Like it's just wide like it is,
Mhm.
and sort of squat like
Is
a
it on
Hummer body.
portals?
Oh, I wish. But they also have a Sequoia that's built up on like 37s.
Like the new
Icon
ones?
suspension, brand new Sequoia,
Nice.
37s, Icon suspension, some nice wheels, and then some other bells and whistles on the outside, lights and roof rack, and that thing's sick looking.
Nice. Okay.
So cool. So the Toyota booth's pretty cool. There's all kinds of other booths in town, from wipes, to keep yourself clean, to
Yeah.
jerky, to a bunch of shock suspension setups,
Yep.
to radios, to
RC cars, PRPs,
more flake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta throw that one
Cal
in there.
4 Corva's out here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's fun to just walk around, go to the booth, talk to people, say hi, say I'm still alive,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just fun to walk around and see that. There's a whole nother area this year, the back 40 or the 40.
The 40, yeah.
Not entirely sure what that is. I'm not really going to have time to go over there and check that out. But
half of the 40 is Optima.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Optima is one of the title sponsors for KOH, and they set up the Optima Oasis. So they
Got
have
it.
a massive tent with a stage in there.
Oh,
And then a bunch of other activities. They've got camping, RV camping. They have a couple of really big solar and battery arrays.
yeah. That trailer we saw, wasn't it going to be out there?
Yeah. There's a bunch of really cool stuff that Optima is doing out at the Oasis, out at the 40. And so I will actually be out there Thursday and Friday, the 1st and 2nd. So yeah, Thursday and Friday mornings, because they're doing some EV rides throughout the valley, and they wanted Moreflate to come and talk about tire pressures for off-roading.
Yeah.
So I'll get to be up on stage talking to a bunch of electric vehicle people. I think CJ with the CJ is coming out for that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think he's going to be joining in with his Rivian.
Nice.
So I'll be out there at the Oasis. Ozzy was out there on the 28th. And he said it's very impressive what Optima has set up out there.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on in the other half of the 40, but Optima has kind of the front half of the 40.
Yeah,
And then there's like a giant bar this year.
Yeah, there's a huge bar, and in town, in Hammertown.
And the 40.
Yeah, in the 40, there's a big bar, and I heard there's other vendors out there.
Really?
Yeah, so I haven't been out there. I don't know a lot about it, but
Interesting.
it sounds like it's a whole nother vendor area. And
Wow.
I said Hammertown seemed pretty like low key and slack,
Uh-huh.
and they're like the 40 is.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, like
Interesting.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, why is that happening?
I have to take a trip over there now.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
probably
you
do
will.
it tomorrow after I'm done talking to people. I'll
Yeah.
go explore around there.
Yeah, so Tyson and I walked around for a while, just talked to a lot of people. A friend of mine, Clinton from Dirt Garage, it came all the way down from Canada, and he asked me if I was going to be at King of the Hammers, and I said yes. So I've been trying to meet up with him for a while.
Yep.
I did finally get to meet up with him and Edwin from Grind Hard Plumbing,
Nice.
and a gentleman named Jordan Braun. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. I need to check out his YouTube channel.
Nice.
Jordan Braun. And I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, Jordan, if I butchered the last name. But yeah, so I got to meet with them. But as soon as I got there, they're like, hey, we're going to have to go in a little bit. We're going over to the Optima area.
Okay.
And then they were going to have to go. Then they were headed over to Lasertown. I'm like, cool, man. Well, it was a pleasure actually meeting you in person. Like,
Yeah.
go have fun.
Yeah.
And then later that day, I was at the Ultra 3 race, and they were walking around, and I was standing on Kyle's EV vehicle's tire to watch the race.
Nice.
And they happened to walk by, so I jumped down and started talking to them. And it was fun. Like we stood around and talked probably for a solid half an hour.
Nice.
Maybe a little longer. And all three of us just kind of, shooting the shit. And every once in a while, somebody would come over to the Grind Hard Plumbing guys and want to talk to them. And
Yeah.
then he'd turn around and start talking to us again. But yeah, it was a lot of fun meeting Clinton and, getting to actually meet him in person and talk about vehicles, because I've interviewed him on a Snail Trail Shop Talk, and we threw those on the podcasts as well back in COVID time. And we're part of a few different Toyota groups that we talk to each other. And then we've literally called each other on Instagram or Facebook just to talk YouTube for a little while.
Uh-huh.
And so now, yeah, it was a lot of fun meeting him in person, and he's
You got-
taller than I expected.
Oh,
I don't know.
Did he-
Everybody
did he
should
say
be
you were
about
shorter?
5'8".
Yeah. I wonder if he thinks you're shorter than
Probably.
you expected.
Probably. I felt like I had to stand up tall just to like be around him.
Yeah.
Can't slouch.
Well, you got to spend some time with another kind of, I don't want to say shorter individual. He looks taller, but that's just mainly because of his hair. And you got to talk Toyotas with him.
Yeah.
How'd
that
that
was
go?
fun.
Yeah.
Ian
Uh-huh.
Johnson,
Uh-huh.
the announcer of Ultra 4. Yeah,
Yep.
that was pretty cool. It was really neat of Ian to bring over some new whiskeys and have us test them out and try them out and do some sampling.
Nice.
Because, and if you go listen to episode, I think it's 245 of Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. They released it on Tuesday.
Yep.
We talk about it, but really what he was doing is he brought over some samples, and he's working on making a big tire garage.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so he had a rye, and then he had a mid-range proof and a really high proof of whiskey, or a bourbon and rye, bourbon, and a whiskey, and different. And it was fun. It was fun sitting there talking to him, talking whiskey, shooting the shit, drinking, and having a good time. And then Jason drugged me in on their podcast, and we talked for a little bit on the podcast. I kind of did a little bit. I threw my 2 cents in there on the whiskeys, but then something came up about Toyotas, and then Ian and I went off with probably the longest segment of Toyotas on the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey show ever.
Yeah. Nice.
So it was fun. It was, it's fun to kind of meet an iconic person and have them be like just a normal guy.
Yeah.
Which was really rad.
I felt terrible because I showed up right around dinner time on Monday, and I had to get on my meeting.
Yeah.
And I had to get Mario, which was the guy that delivers the trailer each year for us, that the employees are staying in this year. I'm staying in the Lance. So we had to get a space figured out for us to camp at that could handle the Lance, the 350, the trailer that was getting delivered, and possibly the enclosed trailer, the 24-foot, if I couldn't get it into our booth in town. So I'm trying to figure all this out, trying to coordinate Mario, trying to and get all this done.
Be on
my meeting.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I can say who the meeting was with, but it's a very, very large YouTube channel. And so I came up to Jason. I was like, Jason, hey. I was like, shit, Ian's here there. As I'm walking up, like, God damn it, Ian's here at the table. I'm not gonna be able to stop and talk to him and everything. And so I was like, hey, Jason, I'm here. I need to figure out where to park. Can you help me real quick? And he goes, yeah, but first here, let me introduce you to this guy over here, Guy Fieri. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, hey, Ian, nice to see you. And Ian's like, yeah, love your guys' stuff, because we sent him some Morphlate stuff. He did a couple of product shoots with Morphlate stuff. And I was like, cool, that's awesome. I hate to be a dick, but I'm trying to figure out some stuff real quick in life. Let me come back. He goes, okay. And by the time we got life figured out and came, he was long gone. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
I won't say a blown opportunity, but I feel like, I don't know if he feels like I just kind of blew him off and was being a dick or not.
No, I don't think so. I doubt it.
I hope not.
I think he knew you were busy. There, after the podcast, we did talk a little bit, and there was some information dropped, and he might want to join us on our podcast as well.
Oh, cool.
So I think he would enjoy a Toyota chat instead of whatever the hell they do over there.
Whatever they do. Whine about stuff.
Yeah. Whine about rigs and Jeeps. And
whine about wheeling.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
That's funny.
So that was pretty fun to sit down and chat with him for a few hours.
Nice.
Which was fun. And then he hung out in camp for a few more hours.
He did, yeah. Apparently he was there for another 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think our podcast was about an hour and a half. We chatted for at least a half an hour to 45 minutes before that. Then after the podcast, we sat around and talked for a wee bit. And then he had dinner here and sat around for another hour or two.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was here for 5 hours.
What was really, really funny is I got into camp and I'm trying to set all this up. You were drunk. And I was like, oh, we got drunk social butterfly Jimmy now. This is where fun Jimmy comes out and falls in fires and stuff.
There was a good amount of whiskey being poured.
And then Jason couldn't stand up straight. No. He was wobbling back and forth and slurring everything. I didn't see Chris anywhere. I'm assuming he was editing podcasts.
Yeah.
To get it out for Tuesday.
Figured that out and got it done. Yeah. Impressive.
But Ian seemed completely normal. Like he wasn't drunk, wasn't even affected by any of the whiskey. He seemed perfectly fine. I was like, man, you guys need to step up your game.
Yeah, apparently so. Too funny.
Yeah.
Well, then I apologize for anything that might have happened if I was that far gone. I didn't wake up with any problems.
So. Yeah, you were awesome. So yeah, that was Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, here we are on Wednesday.
So I haven't ran into them yet. The Northwest Jeep Cast.
Yeah.
Is out here.
They're near us somewhere. I saw them drive by.
So I was trying to find their camp when I was coming back from town yesterday. I couldn't find it. But when we came back from Turkey Claw last night, we drove right by a camp that had a big old Northwest Jeep Cast beach flag.
Oh, let's go say hi.
I may or may not have put a bunch of Morphlate and Snail Trail stickers all over their flag.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was funny. I was leaving town and this dude comes up in a fire suit and a helmet and a Hans device. And he runs up. He goes, Tyler, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, awesome, man. It's good to meet you. He goes, I'm here with a Northwest Jeep Cast. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, you're racing apparently. He goes, yeah, I'm riding co-driver for the rig. I want to say they built a 4500 rig for this. A Jeep.
Yeah. They built a Jeep. I don't know what class they're in.
So I was like, you look like you're fresh out of a race car. What's going on? He goes, well, we were out qualifying right now. Like literally we just got done. I was like, oh, cool. How'd you guys do? He goes, I'm not sure. And I was like, why don't you?
How do you not know?
Yeah. And he goes, well, because we kind of got high centered on the front diff at one point. So I had got out and threw some rocks under there and it was just enough to get him off and get him going. And I just told him to keep going. And so he left me in resolution.
Oh, man.
So I guess he took off, finished the qualifying course without his co-driver.
Yeah.
And his co-driver had to run down resolution, drop down back door on foot. And then finally he hitched a ride with somebody back into town. He had just gotten out of the car and saw me.
Oh, funny.
So he goes, yeah, I don't know how we did, but I ran back into town pretty much.
Yeah.
Like that's hilarious.
Pretty cool.
So anyways, I know where their camp is now.
Okay.
I think I can get us back. It was dark last night, but I think I can get us back there.
Fun.
But yeah, if those guys are listening, enjoy all the stickers.
Wow. Too funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're already over an hour.
Yep.
I say let's hold off on the listener feedback.
Yep.
We'll do that another day.
Cool.
We'll have another episode out on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna meet up with some friends that have been on the podcast before, catch up with some new people, and we're gonna get that interview out. And then on Thursday we'll catch up on all the rest of this trip.
Yeah, and if everybody out there is listening, can do us a big favor. This is going to be kind of like the Dak Shepard request.
Okay. I don't know where this is going, but I'm excited.
Look up on Instagram a really small Instagram account called Frosty Four Wheeler.
Super small.
Super small. And message Alex. Just message the Frosty Four Wheeler account and say, Alex, you need to go on Snail Trail 4x4 podcast.
Yes. Give them a follow.
Yes, give them
because they do epic snow wheel recovery stuff.
They do some pretty awesome stuff.
And they really help out the community out there in the Mammoth area. Mm-hmm. And then send them a message and say, Alex, you need to join the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast.
We have been trying so hard to get Alex to sit down and do a podcast.
For like a year.
Yes, and he won't do it. Jenna's all about it.
Yeah,
but Alex won't do it. I know, right? We'll just pull Jenna in and have her do a podcast.
So there's supposedly there's a bigger storm about to hit in the Mammoth area. So they actually left this morning on us because they don't want to tow their vehicle home in the snow, and they're going to have to go to work.
Yeah, they're going to be needed.
Recoveries happening.
Yep.
So they took off. So I told Alex, I said, hey, I was thinking about, that you didn't want to do the podcast just because he said he doesn't want to do it because he thinks it feels like a job interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, then we're doing our job wrong.
We're failing here.
Yeah. And I said, look, let's sit down. Let's record sometime. And at the end of the recording, if you go, that sucked, I really hated it, we will delete the episode. And he's like, I might be okay with that.
Okay.
I'm doing my tippy toes to try to get in there. But yeah, Frosty Four Wheel. I'll throw a link down in the description. Give them a follow. go on there, message them and say, Alex, you guys need to join the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast.
Yes.
We want to hear your story.
Yeah. They have some really cool stories. They just finished building the white whale.
Yes.
It
so
is
cool.
incredible, the build on it. And there's a lot of really interesting things going on. Little choices that make such a huge difference for what they do in the recovery stuff.
Right.
So I think it'd be really fun to have him sit down and tell his reasonings for why he did this that way and that's that way, and
100%.
why he put an 8274 winch on the side of the truck.
Right.
So
cool.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of really cool things going on with the white whale. And I think it'd be fun to kind of get some of those out of him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know they're still planning on, they started a YouTube channel,
mhm.
but they want to do a rig walk around on
Mhm.
that, and they haven't done it yet. So
Yeah.
this could be a good preemptive step. Like we'll help you learn and talk about your
Yeah.
vehicle,
Yeah.
so then you can go do your rig walk around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So message him, Frosty
Message him.
four-wheeler.
Yep. And then you can message us over at Snail Trail 4x4 or 4x4 Toyota Tyler on Instagram. You can email us, Jimmy or Tyler, at snailtrail4x4.com,
Mhm.
or you can phone in and call us, and we'll follow up with all the voicemails here
Yes.
soon.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do a bonus episode next week or a week following with all these voicemails that we have coming
Mhm.
in. But you can call us at 916-345-47.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's get back to the shenanigans of KOH and see how much rain we get over the next couple days.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I will say, getting to wake up in the morning, turn on a heater, and get a hot shower, amazing.
Lance life.
Amazing. So, Jimmy, do you have any final words for everybody out there?
2 out of 3, well, excuse me, 3 people sampled. One of them was me. The white,
it's okay.
white cheddar or the toasted,
Uh-huh.
and all 3 of us like the toasted.
Bullshit.
Yep.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
I'm ready.
Why can't you keep a secret in the bank?
I just feel like the bank would be a good spot for it.
They have too many tellers.
Not my bank.
Not anymore.
I go in there, there's like 15 people in line and 2 tellers.
That's still 2 people telling secrets.
That's true.